Okay, so with all the covers off, I turned the engine anti-clockwise, because this is the way engine turns. And when you turn the engine, it's easier with the spark plug out. That's why you had to remove the spark plug. And I don't know if you can, I can't see it now either, but I'll have to get there. So you want this little line on the cam sprocket realigned with this pointy bit on the top of the opening. So the line there, the top of that, and here I think it didn't align properly, so I'll have to go back a bit, and now we'll get to that little eye line there. That's it. So inside you can see little line. That means that the piston is in the top dead center, and opposite this opening on the top again. And now you can double check that with the, you can double check it if the piston is up in the top dead center, and I'll show you quickly how. So make sure it's longer Allen key, and make sure it's an L shape, because if you drop it inside you will be in trouble. So if it's clean, make sure it's clean, you don't want any dirt inside, and you can drop it down. You can feel the top of the piston, so the piston is in its highest position, so top dead center. Okay, I'm pushing it through the hole of the spark plug. Alright, so we are in the compression stroke, and now we start adjusting the clearance. Oh yeah, just look from the back of the bike. And moving here. So what I'm going to do now is I'll remove the right size of the filler gauges, and I'll loosen. So this is the locking nut, and this is the bolt that will be adjusting the clearance. So we need clearance adjusted between the tip and the top of this spring or pin, the valve itself, the valve stem. So the clearance is between the valve stem and this arm, and it's to allow for heat expansion of the metal. So when the bike gets hot, it will that gap gets smaller, possibly to zero when engine is hot, and there has to be clearance because of the heat expansion of the material. Okay, here is the document that I had printed out from the manual about valve clearance adjustment, and the valve clearance on a cold engine. Make sure you do this work when the engine is completely cold, at the room temperature or whatever garage temperature, and the clearances are 0.9 for the intake and 0.16 for the exhaust, and you have of course inches as well. I did this adjustment with this, but this is only an exception because I did it last time and the engine was still quite noisy, so I did 0.8 and 0.15 for the exhaust valve. So this is the numbers that we need to remember. And now what I've done here, have a look here with me. This is the exhaust valves, and this side, so to make sure, this is 0.15 millimeters, and this side, the left valve, is pretty good. So the filler gauge should slide quite tightly in as this. So this one is fine, it slides in nicely, but the right hand side, the right valve, is very loose, so I'll have to adjust that one. So that's the one that is making so much noise, and that just slides in easy, might be even 0.18 or something clearance at the moment. So that one needs adjusting, the right one. And this side, the intake, I've checked already, and I'll just show you so you can see if I can find the right gauge. So that was 0.8, and if you bear with me here we go, 0.6, and this is 0.8, and this one went in quite snug and tight. So this side on the intake valves is good, just so you can see. Okay, and you will feel a bit of friction there, so even if the friction is there, it's okay as long as you can push that gauge in. This is 0.08, and again this left side as well. This one is a bit tighter, but it will still go in if I have the right angle there. Yes, see it sliding nicely in the gap there. So the intake valves are okay. Now we are going to do adjustment on that valve, which is the very tricky position there. Is probably the hardest one to adjust. So I'm not gonna be able to do it while I record. So what I'm going to do is get a 10mm spanner, ring spanner, loosen this lock nut, and then turn this one slightly clockwise, maybe not even a quarter turn, to decrease the gap, the clearance there, and then check in with the 0.15 gauge. So loosen the lock nut, tighten quarter turn clockwise, tighten lock nut, and check the clearance. In the workshop manual they say to take even this air, whatever they call it, let me double check, air induction system, they say in the manual to take off, but you don't have to. I worked out the way that it is okay to not take all these hoses in, including that middle one, this one here. You can get to the right valve, the exhaust valve, from this side, from the left hand side of the motorcycle. So it's reasonable access to do both valves, this one and that one, from the right hand side. Now I've adjusted it, and when you slide in the filler gauge, it's nice and snug, so it goes in and you can push it in and out without bending or breaking the feeler gauge. And this one here as well, I did adjust this one as well a bit tighter. I thought I wouldn't have to, but I did, and it's nice and snug. Make sure you tighten the lock nuts. I don't use a torque wrench, I just do it by feel. So those lock nuts are tight, and now we can put it all together and hope that it will be quieter than it was. When you put the tappet covers back on, make sure these surfaces are clean. Oil is good, oil is fine on the gaskets, but make sure there is no gravel or grains of sand, because that will stop you from putting this cover on properly, and it may leak. So make sure all these surfaces are clean of the dust. I have to clean this one yet. I have to correct myself, I apologize. So for these adjusting bolts you don't need any quarter turn or anything like that. It can only be few degree turn, very slight minor turn, a couple of degrees, to adjust the clearances. So be careful, remember the position before you loosen the lock nut. Remember the position of this slot for the flathead screwdriver, or take a pictures or something, because if you turn it too much then it will be out a lot. So make sure, remember, just 1-2 degree turn on these adjusting bolts, and then lock it with the lock nut. Alright, good luck. I'm going to put it all back together. Alright guys, so for more videos on how to do things on your motorcycle or scooter, check out my YouTube channel freedomontwowheels.com, and remember to subscribe. Stay safe and upright. Bye.